Good day, everyone. I am here today to present my concept paper entitled Integrating Psikolohiyang Filipino in Primary Grades in Selected Public Schools in Mauban, Quezon. So, this is a culturally responsive approach to learning. So, I chose this topic. Um, I chose the location of Mauban, Quezon to be the location of my study because given that I live here, so I observe na maraming primary classrooms or schools dito sa aming bayan ang prepare na gumamit pa rin ng Western-based teaching method at materials. So, na minsan naman ay hindi ito masyadong connected sa ating kultura at values ng mga Filipino learners. So, in this study, we investigate how or does the Psikolohiyang Pilipino really integrated in teaching and learning? So, specifically here in the province of Mauban. So, again, so before I start, I am Rose and A. De Vera. So let's proceed to the introduction or background of this study. So education serves as a means by which not only the intellectual capacity but also the cultural formation and identity of the learner are molded. Within the Filipino setting, the need for culturally responsive education is gradually becoming recognized by educators. One of these means through which culture is integrated is the incorporation of Psikolohiyang Filipino into the curriculum. Psikolohiyang Filipino refers to an indigenous psychological perspective based on the use of unique Filipino terms kapwa, pakikipagkapwa, and bayanihan. So, although it has a high significance, the incorporation of Psikolohiyang Filipino in primary education has not yet been widely adopted, especially in public institutions. There are still many strategies for teaching, educational materials, and assessment methods that can be characterized as being based on Western paradigms, which may not appeal to Filipino students to a great extent and cause certain difficulties related to their understanding of the topics covered. So, meaning these slides explain that education is not only about developing a learner's intellectual abilities. Sabi dito, it's also about shaping their cultural identity. So here in the Philippines, educators are beginning to recognize the importance of culturally responsive education. So which means teaching is a way that reflects the student's own culture. One way to do this is by integrating the Psikolohiyang Filipino, which focuses on core Filipino values like kapwa, pakikipagkapwa, and bayanihan. However, despite its importance, Psikolohiyang Filipino is still not widely applied, especially in public schools. So many teaching strategies, materials, and assessment method are still based on Western perspective. So because of this, Filipino students may find it harder to relate to the lessons and fully understand them. So in short, the main point is that integrating Filipino culture into education can make learning more meaningful, relevant, and effective for students. Okay, so let's proceed to the next. So, considering the selected population of public schools here in Mauban, Quezon, there may be some obstacles faced by teachers in terms of integrating culturally appropriate approaches in their work because they might lack relevant skills, have no adequate resources, and receive insufficient institutional support. As a consequence, the application of Psikolohiyang Pilipino may not provide any significant improvements in the process of teaching. So the present research addresses the limited integration of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in primary grade education, specifically in public schools. Despite the emphasis on the implementation of culturally appropriate approaches to teaching in the Philippine education system, there is a significant impact of Western-oriented paradigms on the content of classroom that can negatively affect the perception of knowledge gained by the students. So, meaning these parts only highlight the challenges of teachers that they can face in integrating Psikolohiyang Pilipino in public schools. So, particularly nga po here in Mauban. So, it explains that teachers may lack the skills, resources, and institutional support needed to apply culturally appropriate teaching methods. So, for example po, a teacher might want to teach the concept of bayanihan through group activities, but due to a large class sizes or lack of materials, they end up using traditional lecture methods instead. So, another example is the absence of localized textbooks. So, teachers rely on Western-based materials that do not reflect Filipino values and experiences. So, because of this limitation, the application of Psikolohiyang Pilipino may not be fully effective or may not significantly improve the teaching process. So, meaning, kahit na po anchor sa ating curriculum ang integrating of cultures, kapag po walang resources na makukuha ang teachers or provided by the institution, so hindi rin po nai-align ang lesson sa culturally responsive approach ng teaching. So next, so for instance, Psikolohiyang Pilipino is anchored on such concepts as kapwa, loob, and bayanihan, which could be used to make learning more culturally based. Despite the benefits associated with the application of this culturally related idea in basic education, their utilization is still quite limited. So the available evidence indicates that culturally based education enhances empathy, cooperation, and involvement of learners in class activity according to Hill 2025. Thus, there is a need to conduct research aimed to evaluate the opportunities for the integration of indigenous perspectives into early educations. So, as mentioned above, one of the main trends observed within Philippine education is the promotion of culturally responsive and inclusive education, which is highlighted in various national policies, such as the Enhanced Basic Act of 2013 that calls for a culture-sensitive and contextualized curriculum, according to DepEd 2016. So, moreover, the DepEd has emphasized the importance of the integration of local knowledge, systems, and practices in education, including IFE-Ed program. So, meaning, Psikolohiyang Pilipino is based on the concepts like kapwa, loob, and bayanihan. So, ito daw po ay make learning more culturally relevant. So, for example, kapwa can be applied through peer support or group work. So, loob through reflection activities about students' values and feelings, and bayanihan through collaborative tasks like group projects or community cleanup activities. So even with these benefits, such as improving empathy, cooperation, and participation, these approaches are still limited in the classroom. So for instance, many teachers still use lecture-based method instead of interactive culture-based activity. So this also notes that culturally responsive education is supported by policy. So ito nga po ay naka-anchor sa Basic Education Act of 2013 and DepEd programs such as IPED, which promote the use of local knowledge. So, example po yung mga teaching local traditions or community practices. So, in short, while policy support and it has clear benefits, the actual use of Sikolohiyang Filipino in classroom are still not practiced. So, nevertheless, some challenges can be distinguished, such as insufficient efforts to implement culturally based education policies in classroom settings due to a lack of teacher training, resources, and guidance, as well as limited information regarding the application of culturally responsive pedagogies in Philippine settings. Ito po ay based sa study ni Kaingkoy 2024. So in addition, some educators might be reluctant to adopt local cultures as the basic for designing teaching practices and lesson plans due to the influence of globalization. So ito pa rin po yung isang reason na nakikita because of the globalization. So finally, recent scholarly research indicates that culturally based pedagogies can positively impact the involvement of student in the learning process. It helps develop personal identities and promote critical thinking. According to Kamiring Pikpikan 2025. So nevertheless, most scholars have focused on higher education rather than the primary education. And there is a notable lack of literature on the effectiveness of integrating local, cultural practices into teaching in public schools such as Mauban Quezon Public Elementary School. So meaning, marami na pong mga study ginamit ang Sikolohiyang Pilipino, but most of that studies po is for from higher education, meaning yung mga college study. Pero dito po sa mga dito sa elementary, so wala pa or kakaunti pa po yung nagko-conduct po ng ganitong klaseng study. So, dito po sa slide na to, it highlights the challenges that applying based on education in classroom. So, sabi dito, maybe the lack of training, resources, guidance on how to use culturally responsive methods ang mga dahilan kung bakit hindi po minsan na-integrate ang Sikolohiyang Pilipino. So, for example po, in a public elementary school dito, so ang teacher po ay sabihin natin gustong i-integrate ang local culture, so like yung using bayanihan in a group activity or discussing local festivals, but sila po ay nag-stick na lang sa textbooks based sa lecture methods dahil nga po sa mga materials, lack of materials na kanilang na-experience. So, some teachers may also prepare foreign examples like yung madaling i-access from YouTube, yung mga videos from Western stories. Di ba po madali namang i-search ang mga stories na sa YouTube ngayon. Ano po, kaya lang, yan po ay mga naka-align sa Western stories or mga in English lessons. So, instead of local, gumagamit na sila ng mga ganong hindi naman align sa ating mga kultura. So, next. The selected topic is crucial for the learners, teachers, and educational institutions since it addresses such issues as the need to ensure more meaningful, inclusive, and culturally based learning experiences. In particular, the adoption of Sikolohiyang Filipino in class will be beneficial for the learners' identity building, social awareness, and active participation in class as indicated above. The use of culturally responsive practices in teaching has been proven to enhance learners' socialization processes. So ito po is according to Hill 2020-25. So to the teacher, the study offers guidance as to how they should modify their teaching approach to make it more reflective or reflective of Filipino values and views. So, in addition, it calls for the importance of having support mechanism to ensure that teachers are well equipped to facilitate a culturally responsive learning experience for all the learners. So, meaning, um, this part explains why the topic is important for learners, teachers, and schools in creating a meaningful culturally based learning. So sabi po dito, for learners, using Psikolohiyang Pilipino helps build identity and participation. Let's say, for example, po, students become more engaged when group activities reflect bayanihan or when lessons include local experiences so they can relate the lesson to a real life situation. So for teachers, this study guides them to adjust their teaching methods. For instance, instead of only using foreign examples, a teacher can use local stories or community situation in lessons. So, for example po, here in Mauban, instead of giving example of places, mga foreign places, pwede po nating magbigay tayo ng mga examples like kung ano po yung uh, mga tourist spot dito like yung Hagbaliti Island po. Meron po kami dito ang tinatawag na Gat-Uban Park. So, mas makaka-relate po ang bata if gagamit po tayo ng mga location na kanila pong nakikita talaga in real life. So, iwasan po natin yung paggamit ng mga foreign example. So, it also highlights the need for support like training and materials. So, sometimes, nakikita rin po na problem is yung kakulangan ng training ng guro about sa integration ng culture into their lesson. So, in short, this study helps make teaching and learning more relevant, engaging, and grounded in Filipino culture. So, next. To the institution, specifically public school, this study supports the continued drive toward contextualized and inclusive instruction in compliance with existing policy guidelines. So this serves to contribute to the larger issue of enhancing the quality of education by not only delivering instruction effectively but also doing so in ways that are reflective of cultures and responsive to learners' needs. So finally, this study is premised on the need to close the gap between policy and practice in culturally responsive education through an investigation of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in primary grade classroom. So meaning in this slide po, hina-highlights na dapat po kung ano po yung, let's say, ang curriculum po is aligned to culturally responsive approach, dapat po ito ay nakikita rin sa application in everyday teaching or learning ng mga bata. So, meaning, kung hindi naman po ito ia-apply ng mga guro sa pagtuturo, kahit na po ang curriculum ay naka-align into culturally relevant approach, ay hindi rin po nagiging successful ang goal or ang objective ng isang curriculum. So, naipaliwanag din po kung bakit mahalaga ang study na ito sa mga pampublikong paaralan especially. So, sinusuportahan din po ng pag-aaral na ito yung inclusive instruction. So, when we say inclusive, lahat po ay dapat walang nale-left behind. So, ang pagtuturo po ay hindi lang basta sinusunod kung ano po yung nasa textbooks. Kung hindi, ito po dapat ay naka-align din sa culture, experiences, at needs ng mga students. Next. So let's proceed to the objectives of the study. So this study attempts to look into the implementation of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in primary grades classes in selected public school in Mauban, Quezon. It aims to determine how this culturally responsive practice impacts the way lessons are taught and how it affects learners' participation in their education. So the main purpose of this study is to determine how the integration of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in the classroom can promote cultural responsiveness in learning and improve the learning experiences of primary grade learners. So meaning, tinitingnan din po kung paano natin naisakatuparan ang Psikolohiyang Pilipino sa primary grade sa mga piling public school dito sa Mauban, Quezon. So, layunin din po nitong malaman kung paano makakaapekto ang approach na ito sa paraan ng pagtuturo ng mga guro at ng mga participation ng estudyante. So, the primary goal po ay to enhance the cultural responsiveness of classroom and mapabuti po ang learning experience ng learners gamit ang Filipino values tulad na nga po ng kapwa, loob at bayanihan. So I have here example of research questions. Number 1, how extensively is Psikolohiyang Pilipino applied by the methods of teaching employed by the teachers at primary level. So, ibig sabihin po, gaano ba kalawak yung paggamit ng Filipino psychology sa pagtuturo ng mga guro? Ano po? So, malalaman din po natin ang kasagutan kapag ikinondak or ginawa na ang study na ito. So, okay, next. So, number 2, which of the Filipino values and concepts, kapwa, bayanihan, pakikipagkapwa, etc. are usually incorporated into the instructional process? So, aling Filipino values daw po at concepts ang kadalasang ginagamit na guro sa kanilang pagtuturo? So, number 3, what difficulties do teachers experience when trying to incorporate Psikolohiyang Pilipino in their classes? So, malalaman din po natin kung ano daw yung mga challenges na nararanasan ng guro if they integrate the Filipino psychology. So, number 4, how does the incorporation of Psikolohiyang Pilipino affect learners' involvement and comprehension? Ito po ba ang paggamit ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino ay nakakaapekto sa participation at comprehension ng mga bata? And last, number 5, what recommendation can be made for improving culturally sensitive teaching in primary education? So, dito sa number 5, pwede nating malaman yung mga recommendation na pwedeng ibigay para mapabuti ang culturally sensitive teaching sa primary education. So, meron din po tayo dito mga expected outcomes. So, this study will be able to determine the existing level of integration of Psikolohiyang Pilipino within primary classroom settings. So, nalalaman din yung antas na integration ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino sa primary classrooms. So, tulad ng paggamit ng group activities, local stories, at community-based materials. Ano po? So, in this study, malalaman din po na. So, next. So, uncover the difficulties encountered in the implementation of culturally responsive pedagogy. So, natutuklasan din po natin dito ang mga nararanasan or difficulties ng teacher sa paggamit ng mga culturally responsive pedagogy tulad ng mga kakulangan sa training at materials. So, next, illustrate ways by which concepts from Filipino culture may be used to improve the learner's understanding and participation. So, naipakita din kung paano ginagamit ang mga Filipino kultura para mapabuti ang participation at understanding. Halimbawa, sa bayanihan. So, when we say bayanihan, pwede nila itong magamit sa mga group projects or group activities. So, kapwa sa peer support or pakikipagkapwa sa sharing activity. So, next, make suggestions on integrating Sikolohiyang Pilipino in teaching. So, nakakapagbigay din tayo dito ng recommendations sa pag-integrate ng Sikolohiyang Pilipino tulad ng teacher's workshop, local stories sa lesson, at lesson plan adaptation. So let's proceed to the theoretical framework of the study. So the study on the integration of Sikolohiyang Pilipino in primary grades in selected public school in Mauban has its basis on constructivism and social cognitive learning theories. Both theories form a firm basis for comprehending why culturally relevant teaching leads to increased engagement, comprehension, and positive identity. So, meaning, dito po sa ating theoretical framework, sabi dito, ang study din pong ito ay base po sa constructivism. When we say constructivism, ang students ay natututo sa kanilang sariling experiences. Halimbawa, kung ang bayanihan ay ginagamit nila sa mga role-playing, so na-adapt nila or natututo sila ng term na bayanihan sa pamamagitan ng kanilang ginawang role-playing. And then, nakabase din po itong studying ito sa social cognitive learning. So, kapag sinabing social cognitive learning, ang students po ay natututo sa kanilang observation. So, halimbawa, nakikita nila na ang kanilang kaklase ay nagtutulungan at natututo silang i-practice ito sa kanilang kapwa estudyante. So next, constructivism theory by Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky. Learners are said to develop knowledge actively through experience and social interaction. So according to this theory, learning does not just involve in the assimilation of knowledge from one's teacher, but the construction of knowledge based on one's own knowledge and culture. Principles of constructivism learning theory include learner-centered instruction, the role of social interaction, and the effects of culture on learning. In this research, constructivism will aid in explaining that learning will be enhanced where lessons are taught in consideration of the learner's culture. As a result, teachers will apply concepts of Sikolohiyang Pilipino such as kapwa bayanihan ng pakikipagkapwa in ensuring that the lesson taught become more engaging and comprehensible to the learning or learners. On the other hand, social cognitive learning theory posited by Albert Bandura focuses on observational and interactive learning in social context. So, meaning, dito nga daw po sa constructivism, dahil naka-align din po itong studying ito sa constructivism, meaning ang based na po kay Piaget and Vygotsky, natututo ang learners sa pagiging aktibo sa pamamagitan ng kanilang mga experiences or social interaction. So, hindi lang daw po sila nagre-receive ng knowledge from their teacher, but also nagbubuo din sila ng sarili nilang sariling kaalaman nila base sa kultura at experience na kanilang nararanasan. Let's say, for example, ang teacher pwedeng gumamit ng kapwa sa peer support. So, bayanihan nga po sa group activities at pakikipagkapwa sa sharing exercises para mas ma-engage ang mga bata sa kanilang lessons. So, also sa social cognitive learning ni Albert Bandura, natututo ang student sa pamamagitan ng observation at interaction. Halimbawa po, nakikita nila ang kanilang kaklase ay nagtutulungan, ay natututo din silang i-practice ito sa kanilang kapwa. Ano po? So next, in this slide naman po, hina-highlights lang na according to Bandura, natututo rin ang student sa modeling. So, at ito po ay nakakaapekto sa kanilang behavior or personal factors at ang environment din po dito ang nagiging factors. Ano po? So, halimbawa, kapag ang teacher ay nagpapakita daw po ng cooperation or respect sa klase, na-emulate or na-adapt ng students sa group activity at peer interaction ang ganong klaseng values. So, let's proceed na po to the next. So, kadugsong lang po naman ito. Let's proceed po sa methodology or proposed approach. So, in this study, a mixed methods approach involving both quantitative and qualitative research methods will be adopted. So, quantitative research methods will help to determine the level of implementation of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in classrooms and its effect on learner engagement. Meanwhile, qualitative research methods will shed light on the challenges and experiences of teachers implementing culturally responsive teaching approaches. So, meaning po, ang research na ito ay combination of a quantitative and qualitative methods or mixed methods. Pero ang teachers po ang primarily respondents dahil nga po ang primary grade learners ay hindi pa ganun natatanong ano po. So, ang ginawa ko po dito is the teachers is the primary respondents. So, bakit po quantitative? So, quantitative po dahil gagamit tayo ng surveys sa teachers para malaman kung ano ba yung level ng implementation ng Filipino psychology sa teaching at epekto nito sa learners engagement in the class. So, example po ng mga survey questions. So, gaano ba kadalas na ginagamit ng guro ang Filipino values kapwa, bayanihan at pakikipagkapwa sa lesson activities? So, sasagutin po ito ng kung ito ay palagi, madalas, or paminsan-minsan, or hindi kadalasan. Example pa po is anong specific strategies ang ginagamit ng guro para ma-integrate ang local culture sa pagtuturo. So, pwede po tayo dito gumamit lang ng checklist. So, paggamit ng local na kwento or folklore. So, group activities or collaborative projects or bayanihan, peer supports, exercise or kapwa, community-based projects o field trips. So, ito po yung mga karaniwang ating mga tanong sa mga gagamitin nating instrument. So, sa qualitative naman po, pwede tayo magsagawa ng interviews sa teachers. Ano po, para matukoy yung specific challenges or experiences nila sa paggamit ng culturally responsive teaching. Tulad ng paggamit ng mga local stories, ano ba yung mga local stories na karaniwan nilang ginagamit, or mga group activities. So, example po ng mga tanong natin sa interview, ano ang pinakamahirap sa pag-integrate ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino sa iyong klase at paano mo ito hinaharap? So, pwedeng ano rin po yung pinakamahirap na part ng pag-integrate ng Filipino psychology sa klase at paano din nila ito hinaharap. Pwede nilang masagot na minsan kulang ang teaching materials or local resources, kaya gumagamit na lang sila ng lectures. So, mahirap i-manage ang large size class kapag group activities ang gagawin. Pwede rin ang sagot nila, hindi lahat ng teachers sanay sa paggamit ng local stories, kaya kailangan namin ng training. So, pwede ding sinusubukan din naman nila i-adapt sa lesson plans at gumamit ng storytelling para mas ma-engage ang mga bata sa lessons. So, yun po yung mga possible na masasagot ng isang group. Okay, let's proceed. So, the primary participants of this study will be the primary grade teachers, and let's say for example, pwede rin po nating maging participant dito yung mga grade 3 learners kasi medyo natatanong-tanong na po natin, kaya lang selected lang po yung ating pipiliin. So, from public schools here in Mauban. Specifically, primary grade teachers who are actively involved in classroom teaching in grades 1 to 3 will be selected through purposive sampling. Learners may also be randomly selected as participants in this study. The sampling strategy is expected to provide participants who are relevant to the study and can produce valid results. So, meaning po, ang magiging participant natin ay selected primary grade teachers, selected learners, possible ay yung mga grade 3 learners. So, maaari din po tayong pumili randomly ng learners bilang isang participant sa ating study. Ang strategy na ito po ay ni-ensure lang na relevant yung participants at makapagbigay ng valid na results. Sa data collection naman po, gagamit tayo ng multiple sources para mas mapataas ang validity or reliability ng results. So, sa teacher survey questionnaires, maaari po natin itong gamitin para masukat ang level ng implementation ng Sikolohiyang Pilipino at karaniwang Filipino values na ginagamit po ng mga guro. Let's say nga po yung mga example questions na binigay ko kanina. Pwede din po tayo mag-classroom observations para makita kung paano natututo at nakikipag-interact ang teachers sa students. So, let's say for example, sa classroom observation, sa activity part na lang po tayo mag-observe para makita natin kung na-implement ba yung mga bayanihan, pakikipagkapwa sa kanilang group activities. So, teacher interviews, gagamit din po tayo. So, may mga example na po kaninang mga questions. So, let's proceed po to the So, quantitative data obtained the survey questionnaires will be analyzed using frequency, percentages, and means to describe the extent of implementation of Sikolohiyang Pilipino and learner engagement. Inferential statistical measures may also be used to examine the relationship between the two variables if necessary. Data from the interviews and observation will be analyzed using thematic content analysis in which responses are classified and grouped into different themes. So, meaning, ang methodology po ay ang mixed methods nga po na approach. So, we have here the participants, ang mga grades, primary grade teachers selected. So, this is purposive sampling. So, randomly selected na students from grade 3. So, sa data collection, so we have the teacher survey. So, example po nito ay yung frequency ng paggamit ng bayanihan sa isang group activities. So, classroom observation, paano ba nakikilahok ang learners sa bayanihan activity or storytelling session gamit ng local folk tales. So, teacher interview para malaman ng experiences. Example, difficulties sa paggamit ng local stories or group activities. So, learner observation. So, makikita rin na kung paano nakakapag-participate ang mga students kapag ginagamit ang Filipino psychology ng isang guro. Data analysis, so we have here the quantitative, gagamit tayo ng frequency, percentages, at means para masukat ang level na implementation at learner engagement. So, inferential statistics kung kailangan para tingnan din ang relationship ng variables. So, qualitative, thematic. Sa qualitative, gagamit tayo ng thematic content analysis para i-group ang responses sa themes tulad ng challenges, strategies at learner outcomes. So, let's proceed na sa significance of this study. So, moreover, this study becomes important because it focuses on exploring the integration of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in primary education as a culturally responsive method of learning. So this study has a great potential to positively impact the learners, educators, and educational organizations since it can provide them with information on the benefit of how culturally responsive learning experience. So, meaning dito po sa ating significance of study, mahalaga daw ang study dahil nakakapagbigay din po ito ng insights sa pag-integrate po ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino sa primary educations. So, para sa learners, mas maiintindihan at na-engage sa lesson, so natututuan ng Filipino values tulad ng kapwa-bayanihan at marami pang iba at mas nagkakaroon ng positive self-concept. Para naman sa teachers, nagkakaroon ng guidance kung paano ito ma-modify sa kanilang pagtuturo, paano ma-modify yung mga teaching approaches para maging culturally relevant at engaging ang kanilang pagtuturo. So, para sa school, nakakatulong sa pagpaplano ito ng mga learner-centered at culturally responsive curriculum na napopromote ang mas magandang quality ng pagtuturo ng guro. So, next. First of all, for the learners, the study will offer more opportunity for active engagement in meaningful learning activities associated with their cultural background, values, beliefs, and environment. Thus, they will participate in a way that will help them become better in comprehending and remembering new information. So, meaning po, magkakaroon din ng mas maraming pagkakataon para sa active participation sa klase na nakabase sa culture, values, at environment. So, halimbawa nga po nito yung mga paggamit ng mga values, mga kultura natin na nakagisnan. So, ito daw po ay nakakatulong din sa comprehension at retention, socialization at appreciation ng culture, na yun naman talaga po yung ating goal, na magamit at ma-appreciate ang kultura, ang mga Filipino cultures. Para naman sa teachers, makakakuha sila ng mga specific strategies, sa kanilang culturally responsive teaching. So, next. The results obtained from conducting this study will be helpful for policymakers and other educational leaders, especially those working in the Department of Education of the Philippines. So they will be able to use this information for promoting more localized and culture-based instruction policies and programs. So, meaning, makakatulong din po itong pag-aaral sa pagpopromote ng localized at culture-based instructional policy na programo po ng DepEd. So, halimbawa, yung mga guidelines na para magamit sa mga group activity about bayanihan, support exercise sa classrooms. So, sa theoretical contribution naman po, pinalalawak nito ang application ng constructivism at social cognitive theory sa Philippine context. At nadadagdagan din yung kaalaman tungkol sa culturally responsive education gamit ang Filipino psychology. Sa practical contribution naman po, makakatulong ito para mapabuti yung teaching and learning strategies. Halimbawa, paggamit ng local folk tales, storytelling, at collaborative projects. So, ito po yung pwede nating makuha sa study na ito. Okay, let's proceed to the next. So, for the last and next slide, so these are my references. So, that's all. And thank you. That's all for my topic. And thank you for listening.